you. It's good to see the beautiful Black faces and the smiles. Thank you so much for joining this
Good
session.
morning.
All right, so I guess we are ready to kickstart. Once again, welcome. Good to see the beautiful Black faces and the smiles. Thank you.
Good morning.
Okay. All right. I think since I'm audible, I hope I'm audible to everyone listening. We'll just kickstart. Welcome once again to the All African Women Poetry Festival. This is a Tunic Africa initiative supported by UNESCO, the British Council, and the Embassy of the Kingdom of the Netherlands. This is the Poet Speaks session, kickstarting our 3-day poetry festival. And once again, welcome. My name is Nana Abena Grant, your moderator. And today we have gathered to hear not just about poetry, but we want to listen to the poets themselves and the journeys that have brought them here, the communities that hold them and still continue to hold them, and the ways in which that poetry connects us across borders, our experiences and hearts. So in this session, we will explore what it means to walk the path of the poet, how the languages, festivals like this one have shaped your experiences, and even how poetry has become a form of bonding in a world that feels a little bit fragmented. So welcome once again. I'm excited for all of us to begin this journey together. Special welcome to all of you. I'm going to mention everyone on this course name for our panelists. And once I mention your name, just say hi, hello, a few words, and share your excitement for joining this session. And then we'll get ready to kickstart. So let me start off with Professor Abena Buzia. Hello, our 2025 honoree. Welcome.
Hello, it's very good to be here. I'm very honored and very excited.
Thank you for joining us. Hello, Afi. Is Afi on the call? Hi.
Grace. I'm here. I'm with Grace. I couldn't connect, so I just had to come into her room to be a part of the meeting. I'm here.
Okay. Afi, welcome. Thank you for finding the way, regardless of the connection, to join. Thank you so much. And well, since you're in the room with Storm, let me say hello to Storm as well. Hi, Storm.
Here.
Hi, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi there, how are you?
I'm fantastic.
Bye.
Okay, so Storm there. Let me also get a wave and a hi from Tandiwe. Hi, Tandiwe.
Hi everyone. I'm Tandiwe, and I'm excited to be here. Excited to see that we also have people joining us all the way in South Africa. It's such an honor.
Well, we're glad to have you. Thank you for joining us. Hello to Scar Poetry as well. Hello, Scar. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, how are you? How's everyone? I'm very excited. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's our pleasure. Thank you for joining us. C Tower, hi, welcome.
Hello, everyone. I'm really thrilled to be here. I am having a little bit of connection issues, but I am here.
Well, we're glad to have you here. Regardless, I'm sure we will find a way to power through. So thank you so much for making it possible and joining us. I think Nancy, hi Nancy, is Nancy able to connect with us? Okay, it looks like Nancy is not able to connect, so I think the team should check that for us. And Jesmeza as well. Hi, Jesmeza. Okay, so it looks like we're missing Jasmiza and Nancy. So the team should check on that and find a way to get them to connect. But while most of us are here, apart from the hello, hi, so let's do a proper introduction of ourselves. Like I mentioned early on, my name is Nanabna Grant, the moderator. I am a communications professional. I work in events management and health communication as well. And I love books, everything regarding literature. I love, and it's a pleasure to be a part of the All African Women Poetry Festival. So this is just a quick brief about me. Let's start off our introduction with Grace Storm, and after her, we go to Afi, since both of them are in the same room. So Grace Storm, introduce yourself to us. Let's just get to know a bit of your background.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Grace Storm, all the way from South Africa. I am a theatre practitioner and, of course, a poet, a lover of all forms of art. And yeah, I'm also a full-time educator, so I'm very much in the education field as well, and very passionate about teaching through the arts and using art as a strong medium for change. So yeah, that's a little bit about me in a nutshell.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing that with us. Afi.
Hello,
Hello,
my
Afi.
name
Hi.
is Enamdi Gali. A young woman. I am a fashion student. I am a poet. I am a slammer, and basically everything that has to do with poetry, I love it. And I'll just say, so far so good. We're on it, and then we're hoping that poetry becomes the poetry we really want it to be.
When you say you're hoping that poetry becomes the poetry that we really want it to be, what do you mean by that? Elaborate on that for us.
Okay, so poetry in our part of the world is the least regarded form of art, and we are pushing so hard to make it bigger, like the other arts, like music, like art, like painting itself. So we are hoping that our energies will actually, push it to be or to paint it in the big and in the bigger picture that we dream of it to be.
Interesting. I do hope that we'll get there. And I think that platforms like this, communities like this as well, help enhance the publicity of the African poetry space. And so it's important that spaces like this exist as well. Yeah. All right, Afi, thank you for that intro. Let me engage Tandiwe as well. Tandiwe, tell us a bit of your background.
Hi everyone, am I audible?
Yes, you are
Hello?
audible, Tandiwe.
Am I audible? Yes. Oh, okay. No, it was just showing me something about my network. I'm Tandiwe. I'm a poet, a performance poet, a writer of Time to Mourn, a poetry collection. I'm also the co-writer of Grief, That's How You. And I've been writing for quite some time now. And, poetry for me is a form of exhaling. It's a form of expressing myself. It's a form of digging deep and sort of like nurturing the wound, I would say. Also, I do jazz compositions with my works, my poetry works, back in South Africa. And I'm so excited and happy to engage in this interaction and to, learn more about everyone who's here today.
Well, welcome, Tandiwe. Thank you about that. You did mention that you infuse jazz in your poetry performance. Tell us, when you see the reaction of the audience, what is the reception regarding the infusion of jazz and poetry during your performances?
Are you asking about the reaction of the audience or their reception and how that makes me feel. Sorry.
Well, both of them would be welcome. Yeah.
Yeah, I think first of all, it's quite an interesting concept that the audience is getting used to, because it's so unique as well, especially because of the depth of jazz and the depth of poetry in itself. So it's a beautiful match, and it's always a beautiful reaction and a reception around the work in itself.
Well, lovely to hear. Thank you. Let me engage Scar Poetry as well. Hello, Scar Poetry.
Hello, how are you?
Hi. Now, we want to know a bit about your background as well and your influences.
My name itself is Priska Njeri, and I am a Kenyan poet and writer. I am professionally, I studied journalism and communication in school. So I've always been drawn to the humanities, the communication, the learning of people, the things that connect us. I'm the current women's slam champion in Kenya. And so for me to come here and also be able to represent my country is quite a unique experience. I love being here. My poetry mostly explores narratives like healing, narratives like identity. What does it mean to be, a young person? What does it mean to be an African person? What does it mean to be a woman? I like to say that my poetry walks the journeys that we walk alone with us. So I write poetry that would walk with my audience, the journey that they walk alone, the things that we can't speak in conversation, or even if we try to speak them in conversation, somehow we water them down and we filter them. I'm also a content creator. I'm a TikToker, Instagrammer. I decided to start sharing my poetry through TikTok and Instagram because one of the core foundations of my art is that art is for the common people. And as Effiua said, sometimes poetry, it's a little bit different in my country. I think we do regard poetry highly, but we also regard it as something for the elite, for those people who have time to sit down and read and then talk about it. So most people on the ground don't interact with poetry. And so that's why I started sharing my poetry on TikTok and online, because I wanted art to be for the person that it is, which is the common man, that person who's never read a literature book, but once they come across my video, they get to listen and hear poetry and something opens up in them. And a lot of them now actually do come and attend poetry shows.
Wow, I'm glad that you are allowing yourself to share your poetry through the various social media platforms. And it's interesting that you touched on the bit that, you're very active on Instagram and TikTok, because I read your Instagram bio and it's a very interesting bio. You say that I have been asked if I am a poet, and on good days I am. What happens on the bad days?
So initially when I wrote that bio, I keep it up, but I wrote it such a long time ago. So when I first started writing poetry, I wasn't writing poetry to write poetry. I was writing poetry to get through the bad days, I was writing so that I can express my feelings. I was writing to understand myself. I wasn't in that state. I did not consider, I'm writing a poem. I did not consider I'm writing poetry. It wasn't wow. So when later I'm sharing my poetry and people are like, are you a poet? And I say, I've been asked if I'm a poet, and on good days I am, but on bad days, I'm just a woman trying.
Scott, I think you have to unmute yourself because you missed that on your last sentence. Yeah.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
I was
Well, we'll give Scar Poetry some time to fix the connection. But on that score, let's move to Sitawa, because Sitawa equally has something interesting on her Instagram bio as well. And I read, Today is not yesterday's Ugali reworld. Hi, Sitawa. Can you throw more light on that for us? Hello. Okay, so it looks like Sitawa as well is going to take a while for us to connect. But let's hear from Nancy. Hello, Nancy. Welcome.
Hi.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear us as well?
Yeah.
Okay, welcome. We're
Thank
just
you.
at the introduction phase. We're talking about each other's background. So if you could share yours with us as well.
Yeah, so my name is Nancy. I'm a children's book writer, and I live in the Netherlands, and I focus on the young child. And my books have a high focus in diversity and inclusion.
Interesting. Thank you so much for joining. We do appreciate. Let's have our final introduction by the woman who needs no introduction. But of course, for the purpose of this engagement, we would have to allow her to, tell us about herself, because it's good to always hear from the horse's own mouth. So Professor Abena Busia, over to you. Prof, you would have to unmute yourself. Fantastic.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you so much. You know, one of the things about being told that you need no introduction, what that usually means is you're so old that you've been.
No.
All right, here I am. I'm very happy to be here. What can I say? I am now Professor Emerita after teaching 40 years at Rutgers University.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I love the title, hard earned. I am a professor of literature. I started in straightforward, wonderful British literature that we all learn, but I'm actually a Black women's diaspora literature and cultural specialist. The African diaspora became my field. I also retired as chair of the Department of Women's and Gender Studies. Before becoming an ambassador, I've been privileged to represent my country the last 7 years in Brazil, which is a mecca for anybody interested in Black diaspora studies. And the Ghana's Brazil mission serves the whole of South America, continental South America. So I've just come back from 7 years of discovery of where we are as people around South America, which has been really exciting. Like all of you, I'm a poet. I've been writing since I was a child. It took me decades to publish my first work, but I still have work that I scribbled when I was about, 10 years old or so. And I consider it a privilege to have been a teacher. I consider teaching a sacred vocation, and I miss the classroom. I'm very excited now to be trying to invent a new life as a retiree. So here I am, still writing. I'm still finding ways to share and look for opportunities like this to see what other people are doing and sharing and experiencing. So this is great to be here, to be amongst other creative Black women who are proud of being creative Black women.
Thank you so much. It's also an honor for us to have you join us. Thank you. Now, at this point, we're going to have a conversation, right? It doesn't have to feel like a Q&A session where a question is asked and someone answers. Let's have a conversation, because we say that the poet speaks. So this is really for the poets to engage, but I'm just only guiding the conversation. So many a time, and I'm sure this is a question that has been asked on countless occasions, what inspires your journey? But I want to find out what inspired your journey and what has led you over the years to the stage? What has this journey led you to? What have you discovered on this poetry journey? Grace, would you start with us?
Lucky number one. Sure, I think it's such a loaded question. I think more than anything, I believe that there are so many stories that we have to tell and stories that has to be heard. And I think because of that, I feel as if, poetry can never run out. I don't think we can ever run out of the words that we can use to explore the things that we've experienced. And it's also a way to connect. So I think for me as a poet and as a writer as well, it really has led me to a point where I'm able to connect. And I think that's for me the most important thing, the connections that we have with the people around us. How do we relate to people? How do we share our stories so that we give meaning to our stories, but also to their stories? So I think more than anything, poetry has not only just led me to others, but also has led me to myself in new ways. So yeah, I think I'm very much inspired by untold stories, the stories that we don't like to speak about, the difficult stories that I think is important to be told and needs to be heard. So yeah, I think that's my little journey so far.
I think, who was it who said it? I think it was Scar. I really think that poetry also is sacred. And the reason, I always tell my students, if you look at if you look at revolutions and autocratic takeovers, poets are always central. So many revolutions are led by poets and songwriters. And if you look at autocratic rulers, very often the people they jail first are the poets and they jail the poets before they jail the politicians, because they know if they can get rid of the people who are really speaking to and for the people, they don't need to jail the politicians who are usually already compromised in some way. I love the beginning. I don't know how many of you know Julius Caesar, but at the beginning of Julius Caesar, when the mob is like going crazy, and they're looking for one of the conspirators called Cinna, and they come across Cinna the poet instead, and who starts pleading for his life. And then somebody says, no, jail him for his bad verses. It's like the poets need to be jailed. Otherwise, the story the authoritarian people don't want to hear gets told. So there's that aspect of it. But then there's also the really affective, emotional aspect of it. I've discovered in my life so much of the impulse for my writing is to process something intense and significant. My last collection, which was published too long ago, is called Traces of a Life, and it's a collection of elegies and praise poems, because every single one of them, I can tell you why I wrote it, because it came out of an occasion where I was negotiating grief or wanting to share a joy. And I think that is the impulse for a lot of what we do. And those things in many respects are ordinary. It seems strange to say, but grief is ordinary. We all suffer it, we all go through it, and everybody on a daily basis. It's part of who we are as human beings. And I think, therefore, poetry is part of who we are as human beings.
I
Hi,
definitely second you.
hello,
I'm already jumping in. I thought we were having a
I'm
conversation.
with
I'm
Star.
jumping in.
Hi, I'm with Scar. This is Sitawa, and I haven't introduced myself, and I'd love to introduce myself.
You
It's
could.
okay.
Okay.
And of course, it's frozen, right?
No, I don't understand what's happening.
No, just
Hello, can you hear us?
hello.
I heard you well. I don't know what's
Okay.
going on, but I can hear you, and I'd like you to introduce yourself.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself. So my name is Sitawa Namwalye, and I'm Kenyan. And I became a poet 18 years ago. 18 years ago, I got the courage to follow the real dream, my real dream, the thing that I really wanted to do in my life that I dared not even think about doing. And I'm now a poet, I'm a playwright, and I'm a performing artist. And one of the things that I'm really proud of myself for is a musical that I have written that I've been working on for many years, and that is now a stage where we've done all the, because a musical is something that you do with many people, so that's why I'm saying we. It's not the royal we. And it is a musical that we've finally gotten to a stage where we've composed all the music, and it's really exciting. And I've had public showings of it, and it just thrills me. And one of the things about me is that I'm limitless. I'm of an age now where I can look back, I've got the luxury of a life lived. And so I'm looking back at my regrets, looking back at what I've learned, what I've done, who I am, and the beginning and the becoming of who I am. And I'm still looking forward and thinking about the next thing that I'll be doing and the impact. And I think one of the beauties of getting older and the young women, please note your 50s are the most powerful. The 50s is a magic that nobody will tell you, but 50s for a woman is the most magical time. You become this, you've gone over all sorts of things, you've come through all sorts of things. And if you pay attention, there's an incredible power that you have, and a fearlessness and a shamelessness that I personally have embraced. And so I'm able to do things today and actually, say I'm going to do something and do it that I wasn't able to do in my 20s, for example, with all the self-doubt and all the rest of it. And I think for me, the life I've lived, everything has an impact in terms of my poetry. And so I was in my youth a sportswoman, so I played tennis and hockey for Kenya. And that experience and the work I did around that, and in terms of the physicality, there's a way in which I understand my body, and that I can then use it, and then that I also protect. That comes in really well as a performer. I then was a scientist. I still am a scientist, I suppose. So because I did my first degree in botany and zoology, and then environmental studies. And I say these things, yes, to look good, of course. We're always trying to look good, but I also say these things to just show that we come from different places, and using all our abilities rather than focusing on just a small aspect of who we are. I then worked for in the development world, which I don't like. Worked for the UN, the World Bank, etc. I won't mention some of the others because it's a bit shameful, but I did it. It's mine. And really got to on environmental issues and human rights and gender and political rights, etc. The political sphere as well. And all that comes into my poetry. All that is such an amazing resource. that I'm constantly bringing, the images of sitting with women groups discussing livestock and improving their lives, etc., and comes in, and so for me, everything that I'm doing that I've done is a resource. I'm also a mother of 3 amazing children and a recent grandmother. So I'm really amazed at becoming a grandmother. I'm just so proud. I'm quite obnoxious and like a typical grandmother. So looking back, but also looking forward.
Well, Sizua, it's amazing to hear the colorful life that you have lived. And while you were speaking, I could see Scar just watching you. Scar, you hope to live such a wonderful life, yeah? Because okay.
Did you say something? I didn't hear that, Nana. Can you repeat what you said? Oh dear. What's happening? Maybe turn this off.
Yeah.
Hi, Nana. We can't hear anything. Can somebody else say something? Say something.
I think if you're having trouble with the connection, if you switch off your video, the audio is stronger.
It's the internet.
Yes. So if you switch off your video, it's a shame not to see you, but it's been my experience that if you switch off the video, the audio is more stable.
Yeah, we've switched off the video.
Yes.
While everyone is gearing up, I think for me, what came up as Sitawa was speaking was when you said you have the luxury of a life lived.
Yes.
And I thought, oh my God, how beautiful it is to find a woman who speaks about age like that. You're calling being in your 50s the luxury of a life lived, but most often in community and in society, when someone is getting older, especially women, that's not the narrative that's there. Nobody tells you it will be luxurious. Nobody tells you you will know yourself better. Apart from now, women like you who are now trying to tell us more and more as young people and as young women that as you're aging, the world and society is trying to tell you, or your worth is depleting, all of these things are happening, but in truth, you're learning yourself and you're getting to know who you are. And when you look back in your 50s or in your 70s, you will not feel, oh my God, how old I am, but you will feel, oh my God, I have the luxury of a life
Absolutely.
lived. That
Absolutely.
was just so beautiful.
And of course, you do look back.
Yeah.
And say, oh, in my 20s, my body could do all sorts of wonderful things. And then you must keep up physical fitness. I'm serious, because it's amazing what the body begins to deteriorate, and it affects the quality of your life right now. So you will see me in the morning or wherever exercising, because I take that really seriously.
Okay.
Yeah. But one of the things about being a poet that is so interesting for me is that we expose the lies that society tells. So there's there's always, when my children were young and they wanted something, and I said no, they'd say opposite day, that opposite day, I want a sweet. No, you can't have the sweet. Opposite day, so I'm having the sweet. No, you're not having the sweet. So there is this strange stuff that we do where we live one way, but our heads and our words very often say a different thing, right? So I ignore a lot of so-called conventional nonsense, because it's not wisdom, the conventional stuff, and like what is and take charge of crafting what I want to experience. So what is it I want to experience? How do I want to age? How do I want to exit from this? I'm in control of that to some degree, right? So for me, it's an amazing thing. It really, really is. And it was amazing when I was younger as well. But right now also, it's wonderful.
Still amazing, yeah. And
Yeah.
so, and I think throughout the whole night yesterday,
Are we dominating?
Are we-
Because hello? Nobody can-
Hi, we are enjoying listening to you. It's great to hear, the conversation ongoing.
Something else.
Okay.
Well, you know what? Before Scar, you wrap up with the conversation you're about to indulge all of us in, I would like to say that we would love to hear, 30 seconds to a minute teaser. Give us a taste of your poetry. And so if all of us could be on standby and just prep, and I would just go by a few lists, and then you give us a taste of your poetry. Would really appreciate it.
Okay,
So yes, Scar.
let me get
just a minute. So there's a particular piece I would like to share. It's very light, but I think it's even ongoing still with the conversation. And anyway, here it goes. So for context, I wrote this poem yesterday while we were at dinner together with the women here at All Africa Women Festival. So okay. I want to be like this women. I want to have a voice as refined as professors. You listen even when you do not understand the stories. Even when you don't know who they're about, you listen and somehow it translates. I want to have Professors Grace and Sitawa's confidence. Women who have refined themselves by going back into themselves and saying, yes, this is who we are. I want to be bold like Sitawa. Say, no, don't call me Beth. I do not use that name. My name is Sitawa Namwale. That I want to show up casually dressed for dinner, adorned with jewelry collected from the world. I want this richness of stories about Chinua Achebe, and the first time you made a play out of poetry. I want to be like this woman who casually talk about the politics of the world, dressed in silk derras that have legs, talk about cities we've been to, the poetry we've listened to, the books we've read and how they've come up in real life. I've always said I wanted to be my grandmother, but really, I want to be all our grandmothers. I want Prof's ease and elegance, Sitawa's wisdom and courage, this women of Africa who the world has always stood on. Look how much they have despite how much they've given. See how they preserve culture like sweet nectar on their tongue. See how they carry the continent without saying a word. I want to be like this women. Take your careers, take your corporate ladders. Give me the woman in brass jewelry and a dera with legs. Give me the woman with a fully shaved head and silver jewelry you will never see again, and probably have never seen before. Give me the women who want to go to the market, touch the fabric before they buy it, inhale the scent of the market, huggle a little and walk away with a piece you will never see again, and had not seen its wonder before she picked it out. This here is what I want.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. What an honor.
I want to be
What?
like that too.
Wow.
So anyway, just to say, I've really been feeling inspired since I've been here. Just even without talking, just sitting at the table and listening to the people that Emma has gathered. My God, thank you so much, Emma.
Well, I am glad that you are able to enjoy the moment and be in the present and soak in all the greatness that you are surrounded with. I think this is what spaces like this are about. So thank you to Emma again. Grace. Are you ready? We're prepared for you.
I think I'm ready. I've got something short. This is from my collection titled Love and Other Stuff. And this is a piece called Faith. And it reads as follows. I wonder if the sun gazed upon me knowing I have not yet laid down to rest. If the moon laughed at me, abandoned me and my prayers the night before. If the stars edged on my pillow and shone its light on my worries. I softened my knees and packed my uncertainties on the top shelf, out of reach. Perhaps that will be far enough to convince me to plant my feet in hope, water my heart with sight that sees beyond. All I have left now are empty closets. I threw all of my attempts out the window last night. The shallow pieces in my drawers are not big enough. I must package faith beside my bed. Tomorrow, I will rise with the sun and tell it stories about how I will shine too. That's it from me.
Okay.
Wow.
Thank you so much, Grace. That's so lovely. Thank you. Well, looks like we're very pressed for time. I wanted to listen to everybody, but it looks like we can make room for one more because we have the next session in about 15 minutes. And so, Professor Abena Buzia, if you do us the honors and share with us a poetry piece.
We are all mothers, and we have that fire in us of powerful women who can laugh beauty into life and still taste the stuff and still make you taste the salt tears of our knowledge. But we are not tortured anymore. We have seen beyond your lies and disguises, and we have mastered the language of words. Yes, we have mastered speech. And yes, we have seen ourselves. We have also seen ourselves. We have seen ourselves raw and naked and played ourselves until our flesh lies naked with our own hands. What terrible thing can you do us, which we have not done to ourselves? What can you tell us, which we did not deceive ourselves with a long time ago? Ignorance shattered us into such fragments. We had to unearth ourselves piece by piece until even we wondered how we could hold such treasure. So yes, do not deceive yourselves, for we have seen ourselves and grown ourselves and seen visions beyond your imaginings. And we shall not escape what we will make of the broken pieces of our lives. And I didn't remember that completely because I couldn't find the text. But that's a poem I wrote many years ago now. But it was a moment like this, but I was the fledgling poet. And it was the day I met in one day at a workshop, Gwendolyn Brooks, Nikki Giovanni, and Tony K. Bambara in one room, and went home and couldn't sleep until I'd written that poem. So that's my gift offering to inspirational women who believe in the power of words, and forgive me for not remembering it off by heart.
Well, for us, it's an honor to listen to you share this piece with us. And we are grateful that you could share these words with us. We have seen ourselves, and we have also seen ourselves. We will not deceive ourselves, but we see beyond our imagination. Thank you so much. Thank you to all our panelists for joining us. It's indeed been the Poet Speak session because all of you have added your rich experiences to this conversation. Afi, Kukua, Scar Poetry, Storm, Tandiwe, Nancy, Sitawa, Professor Abena Buzia, thank you all so much for joining. We really do appreciate your presence here. And to the audience as well for joining us, to all those who registered to join this conversation, we appreciate your presence. Thank you all. This is a wrap for our very first session for today. This has been the All African Women Poetry Festival, proudly produced by Tunic Africa and supported by UNESCO, the British Council, and the Embassy of the Kingdom of the Netherlands. We'll also give appreciation to KLM Geisha, I Am Idinka, Inc. GH, Writers Project GH, Habarata, Brown Photography, Luma, Cairo Studios, Pink House Boutique Hotel, Afro Ellie, and to all our media partners as well, Channel One TV, Joy FM, Daily Graphic, GTV. All these partners have made putting together this 3-day poetry festival a success. So thank you all, and our poets, forever grateful for gracing us with your presence here in Ghana. I hope all of you have tasted Ghana Jollof. Well, if you are yet to, please.
You people are obsessed with your own rice.
We are obsessed, and we want to share this obsession with the whole world. Thank you so much for joining.
It is the best.
We're happy.
Thank you, guys.
Doing that
All right,
obsession.
thank you. It's a wrap. Thank you.
Thank you so much, James.
By giving, this is the poem I wanted to perform.
Okay. Oh, we don't leave?
You know, leave.